Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Heading into the month of November, you look up at the Big 12 and you suddenly say Colorado is a legitimate threat in the Big 12 conference. Now, this might come as a surprise to a lot of national college football fans that didn't really follow this Colorado program in the offseason and kind of followed what they brought in through the transfer portal. For the Colorado fans who've been locked in with this program over the last 8 months, we've covered almost every single commitment that Colorado landed in the transfer portal. I don't think it comes as that much of a surprise for a lot of the Colorado fans. Because what do we say almost every single time we broke down a commitment for Colorado this offseason? The main conversation was the quality of player that Coach Prime was bringing in this 2024 offseason was it just felt different. And you kind of look up and say, yeah, you have some of the best players in all of college football on this roster, guys like Shadur Sanders, guys like Travis Hunter. But the names that they landed in the transfer portal, they're quality football players. And so for the Colorado fans, you're kind of not surprised to see Colorado have the success in 2024 that they're having because you kind of knew this roster got significantly better from what it was in 2023. And then you look at the rest of the schedule for Colorado and say there's a massive opportunity. Like, look, you're coming off a massive win against Arizona on the road, an Arizona team that a lot of people thought were going to be at the top of the Big 12 when it was all said and done. You win 34-7. If you can get through a Cincinnati team that, again, I think is pretty dang good coming into town this weekend, you look at the rest of the schedule and say, you go into your bye week. You go on the road to Texas Tech, which is a tough place to play. But you look at Texas Tech and say they just lost by 3 scores to Baylor last weekend. You get Utah at home, which is massive to get them at home and not have to go on the road to Salt Lake City. You look at this Utah team, another team that a lot of people were high on heading into 2024. They are not the team we thought they were going to be without Cam Rising. You look at on the road at Kansas. That's another one of those teams that we thought was going to be really good in the Big 12. They're sitting at 2-5. And then you get Oklahoma State at home, another team that a lot of people were high on. This Oklahoma State team has, fallen apart in the month of October. So I think there's a couple things that are working for Colorado. One, this is a team that is clearly getting better over the 2024 season. And then there are a lot of Big 12 teams, specifically the teams that are remaining on the Big 12 schedule for Colorado, and say, these teams don't seem to be getting better. Now, there's a couple of different things that I kind of want to note in terms of what makes this Colorado team different in the 2024 year. Fired up to get into it. Now, before we do, and as always, to the Colorado fans, one, I can't thank you guys enough for all the support y'all have shown. We have talked a lot about this team over the last couple of months, going back to the transfer portal period. The amount of support's been amazing. I can't thank you guys enough. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Much more importantly, we're going to give a lot of different shout outs to a lot of different parts of this Colorado team and players. If I leave some players out that deserve some love, let it fly in the comment section because we all know there's a laundry list of guys that deserve some attention and recognition for their play in 2024. So let it fly in the comment section. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. Without further ado, let's get into, kind of what's made this Colorado team different in 2024. And I want to start with pass protection. Now, you go back to that week 2 matchup against Nebraska. That's when everybody in the country was watching this Colorado team and say it was really, really bad. And that was kind of a conversation we had about Colorado coming in was how quickly does this offensive line come together? You built this offensive line through the transfer portal. You had a true freshman starting at left tackle, going on the road to Lincoln, Nebraska in his second career start. We had question marks, not necessarily about the talent that Colorado had on the offensive line. Like you go back to 2023, it just was, there weren't good players on the offensive line. I think we all knew that. In 2024, we were much more confident in the quality of player that Colorado had. I think the bigger question was, how quickly does it come together? And that's a Nebraska defensive line that's one of the better units that we see in the country, but also a Nebraska defensive line that gives you a lot of different looks, brings pressure from a lot of different spots, plays a lot of games and stunts on the defensive line. You could tell Colorado just struggled in terms of picking up late blitzes, in terms of picking up and giving off stunts. That was an offensive line that you could tell hasn't played a lot of football together. Ever since that game in Lincoln, Nebraska, the pass protection has been significantly better. Now, I give Coach Prime and this offensive coaching staff a ton of credit for not only getting the players better, but kind of finding the right recipe up front. You kick Tyler Brown back into guard, which is where he's supposed to be playing. Look at guys like Tyler Brown and Jordan Seaton. Through the first 2 games, Tyler Brown gave up 11 pressures. The last 5 football games, he's only given up 6 pressures. Jordan Seaton, true freshman left tackle, the first 2 games gave up 9 quarterback pressures. The last 5 games has only given up 5 quarterback pressures. Justin Mayers has been good all year. This offensive line not only getting better as a unit, but you can see all these players, they're getting better as football players too. I think most notably Jordan Seaton, who again was a true freshman the first couple of games of his career. This kid's emerged as one of the better left tackles that we see in the conference right now. And we kind of knew it. It was just a matter of when it was going to kind of click for Jordan Seaton. I think it's all fair to say, it's clicked for Jordan Seaton. I think secondly, this Colorado team has found a run game. And this is something we've talked about a lot where, look, we don't need Colorado to run the football 70% of the time, but you want them to have some sort of run game to keep a defense honest and prevent defenses from just pinning their ears back and getting after the passer, kind of like Nebraska did on week 2. That kind of having a run game that's not necessarily world beaters, but a run game that's efficient has really helped this offensive line and pass protection as well. So I think one of the biggest storylines is ever since week 2, the pass protection has been pretty damn good for Colorado. I think secondly, on offense, the injection of wide receiver Will Shepherd was massive. And we all know, like, go back to 2023, it was a really good wide receiver room. Like Xavier Weaver, Jimmy Horn, Travis Hunter, those really good wide receivers. I think one of the issues that you might have saw were all 3 of those wide receivers are similar skill set kind of guys, right? Short, intermediate route tree runners, really good after the catch. Colorado last year, outside of the true freshman Amari and Miller, didn't really have that big-bodied boundary wide receiver that could work vertically down the field. And because of that, you felt like defenses were kind of scrunching down on this Colorado offense. You inject Will Shepherd, not only is he giving you some of those explosive plays as that big body wide receiver, but I think more importantly, when you have that kind of wide receiver, that kind of threat in your offense, it's going to open up a lot of space for some of your other wide receivers. And I don't think it's a coincidence that you inject Will Shepherd in and you look at LeJontay West or you look at Jimmy Horn or you look at Travis Hunter and say they're suddenly having a lot more success. The injection of Will Shepherd, although the production's been good, it's not been crazy, I think has really helped this whole offense kind of find their spacing and allow wide receivers to really do what they do best in this Colorado offense. Now you flip to the defensive side of the football. This has been where Colorado has made their biggest improvements. You take a look at the numbers, like they're allowing 21.2 points per game. That's 30th in the country. This is a top 30 scoring defense that we see in the country. If you were to ask a lot of national college football fans, hey, ballpark where you think Colorado scoring defense is, they'd probably answer like 80th. Like, not a lot of people respect how good this defense has been in 20, and they've played some good offense. You look at Arizona, you look at teams like Kansas State. These are good offenses that Colorado has played really good against. Now, what has been the change for Colorado? I think it starts with kind of that broader picture. And Colorado's been the number 2 scoring defense in the red zone. And then you look at third downs and say 25th best defense on third downs. Playing the money downs, like playing good defense when the team has the ball inside your 20 and playing good defense on third downs, that's something we didn't see from Colorado in 2023. We've seen it from them in 2024. I think that starts with the new defensive coordinator. I think he's done a phenomenal job using the Colorado personnel in the right way. But I think you got to start with Colorado stopping the run. Go back to last year. The Colorado just didn't really have the personnel to be a great run defense. They didn't have the dudes in the front 7. All of a sudden you do. And I think it starts with the defensive line. Guys like Chidozie, we noted him. When he transferred to Colorado, we said, he's not going to have this crazy box score line when you look up at the end of 2024. This kid's play a massive role in Colorado stopping the run. He's certainly done that. They hit what, 5'11, 305, like just eating up double teams, letting your linebackers play free. Samuel Okunlola, BJ Green, guys like Arden Walker. Arden Walker going into year 2 has just gotten better as a football player. The defensive line is deep and talented. And because you have a good defensive line, your linebackers all of a sudden are looking really, really good. Nikhai Hill-Green has more run stops in 2024 than any Colorado defender did all season in 2023. Nikhai Hill-Green with 22 run stops, an average depth of tackle of 2 yards down the field, been a revelation for this Colorado defense. Bentley's playing solid football. I think another thing, Cameron Silmine Craig coming up from that safety spot, 14 run stops. This kid flies down from that safety position and is a force in the run game. And so you're looking at this Colorado defense and say all 3 levels, the defensive line, linebackers, defensive backs, they're all getting involved in stopping the run. When Colorado can stop the run, this has made their Colorado defense much better. And I think the last storyline is they're tackling in space. Last year, teams had over 2,000 yards after the catch on this Colorado secondary. Guys like Kermani McClain, although really talented, just not tackling in space. You take a look at the numbers this year in 2024, so we're about over halfway through the season, only 740 yards after the catch. Colorado's tackling in space. They're not giving up the explosive play. You look at all these factors and say this team it's massively improved, and it's just a different Colorado team than what we saw in 2023. And for all those reasons, you're looking at a Colorado team that has one loss in the Big 12 Conference and has positioned themselves as a legitimate threat in the Big 12 going into the month of November. And you look at that schedule, you get by Cincinnati, you go into your bye week, all 4 winnable games, 2 of which are at home against good teams, but teams that are not getting better. And this Colorado team seems to be putting it together towards the end of the season. Colorado's depth last year was a problem, and so they kind of wilted away in the second half of the season. This is a Colorado team that one's going into their bye week ideally healthy, but I think more importantly, they're just deeper. They're built to play into November when they really weren't last year. I'm really excited to see how Colorado finishes out this season. I think they're going to be making a lot of noise in the month of November. We'll close it down there. Appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.